So I wanted to speak to you about the Uranus transit in Taurus. And this is deeply connected to who it is that you authentically are and what is it that you value. I think people will be speaking on these things in a very vibrant way because of Uranus and Taurus being connected to the internet. If you haven't noticed that metaverse was announced during the Uranus retrograde in Taurus. So you can see here that this is about bringing the values that you have where Taurus is and the morals that you have and how you're going to spread this out into the world. So this is also connected to your brand. And I'll be going into this in the branding for astrology workshop, which I'll put a link to down below. Because where Taurus is how you describe yourself. It's the experience that people have with you. If you think about the bull or the cows and how they are symbolic of being branded, that they have an imprint and an icon, some sort of stamp of possession that happens. This is where you find where Taurus is. So if you have planets here, then this is a way that you may identify or act. And if you have wherever you have Taurus in your chart is where you brand yourself, is where you stamp yourself down, okay? Just like you are possessed by something. So people are scared of the word possession. They're going to have to experience it on a massive level with Uranus being in Taurus. It's an uncomfortable place for Uranus to be, but it's basically taking the cattle and putting it on the internet. And so this is a chance for everyone to have their own space, to have their own land, to have their own place. It creates an even playing field, the first of the zodiac, where you experience some sort of evenness or harmony is where Taurus is. So it's the introduction of what could be when it comes to abstract love. So this is a time where people are going to be identifying beauty, nature, love, and money in very different, unique, and eccentric ways. And it's a chance for everybody to express who they are and what their abstract love story is on any sort of platform. And if you do this, the secret here is that you'll tap into the new currency, which is what Taurus also represents, even in the chart in the second house, is the income. So Uranus is definitely bringing upheaval here. And so your ability to stay in this space of creativity, sharing, expression, being ignited by romance, love, and harmony can actually help bring you value and money into the world because the world needs it right now, being, in the middle of a global earthquake. It's like the land has started to erupt. Hey, hi, Omaria, welcome. So, yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts. I'm in the park today. This is it morning still, and I wanted to share with you guys about how Taurus is an unseen energy that is getting a lot of stimulation because it's unseen because it's our comforts. It's not as seen as its opposition like Scorpio. You know, and so because it's our comforts, we take them for granted. We underappreciate them. And Taurus is about where we start to appreciate things. So I think Uranus is coming here and creating a disruption where you're comfortable. Thank you. So this is why this talk is also to promote the branding for astrology workshop, and it does have a price to it. Um, but I still really think it's a powerful thing, and it's one of the things that I have been using in my work is where Taurus is in my chart and tying it into the brand. Because where Taurus is in your chart, you are going to be dealing with the fears of being possessed, of being, hoarded by. You're going to be dealing with the feelings of, you're going to be dealing with the feelings of, are you free or not? You're going to be dealing with the in uncertainty of stability with Uranus here. There's a clear, bubbling underneath the surface, but you can't see it. Or the things that are comfortable to you, if you've been doing that work, they just aren't as interesting to you anymore as well. Oh, thank you so much. The link is should be in the description. Hold on. Hold on. See? Not ready, y'all. Okay. The link should be in the description, but yeah, I'll send it to you and I'll also put it in the comments if you guys would like to join the workshop. It's going to be really good because we're going to cover the 10th house, the second house. Taurus is the main focus. The sixth house. Thank you so much for the donation. Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you so much. That's so generous. Um, and we're going to use the nakshatras as well in the workshop. We're also going to talk about how this is connected to your brand name. So I'll be using numerology to share that with you, how and the spiritual connection to the brand name, because when you have that connection, it keeps you intact with the brand, which is you. And whenever you get off course, you can use the name as your anchor. So there's so much things about branding that I've been studying for a while, and tying it in with astrology is really great for people who are trying to build themselves up. And speaking to that, it is a necessary um, it's a necessary path for many at this time to be considering self branding and how to put yourself out there in the world, which is the message of Uranus RX in Taurus, is that the cattle, right, the common people, the regular people, you know, who have no blood ties, no other things or whatever, um, are able to actually be in the networks, Uranus. And because Taurus is about finances, this speaks to a need for an even playing field in the wealth gap. So your participation in the networks is going to be scary because, like I said, Taurus is about nature. So people are going to be fighting what is natural versus this new idea of progression. This is why Uranus and Taurus is an uncomfortable place for Uranus to be, because Uranus is mechanical, industrial, progressive, androids, you know what I'm saying? And Taurus is nature. And so you're basically turning trees into robots in the most cynical eye of Taurus, which I have experienced, because I have many planets in Taurus. Sorry, y'all. I just got to put this down for a second. I have many planets in Taurus, so I've had that cynical eye for a minute. You've probably noticed it. Sometimes I'll get a little extreme with things. but But what I've been learning on this process in true branding is about owning the all of you, right? This is how you know that you can move progressively into that industrial world, but not have the fear that you're going to lose yourself or that you're going to become, not become yourself. So Taurus is about how you nourish who you are. Like when you're planting seeds and you water them and you give them sunlight and you make sure that they grow, that requires a fixed focus. That requires a lot of attention. It requires care. It requires being connected to someone else. And in that relationship between you and that seed that has to grow, it can't grow without you. And this is the origin of possession. Is That's what it is. Now everything that we fear about being possessed has been distorted, that has been distorted. But the true possession concept here comes from Taurus, in which you're the one who is taking care of things, and so that's why you have ownership over something, because you chose to, not because you're trying to control it, but because you're trying to nurture it to grow. And that's the message of Taurus and that concept of possession. So, oh yeah, it's your Chiron placement. Yeah, so tell me if any of you guys have planets in Taurus. Let me know. Let me know what your planets are in Taurus. And then let me know what house it is, because we're going to go through the houses as always. And I'm working on a lot of house lectures in the astrology course. I know any of you guys who have the course, people are complaining that the Venus videos are not up. I took them down because I didn't like them, so I'm putting them back up on the course this week, and I'm also going to be focused on an entire section on the houses. So if you're in the course, I'll be sending an email out for that. And if you want to be in it, the link is in the description for that. And so the thing here about Uranus and Taurus, it's about connecting to the earth and connecting to the natural parts of you. But the thing is that a lot of people are disconnected from their natural parts, you know? And this is where there's a lot of karma here, because Aquarius and Uranus are both connected to um, Aquarius, Uranus, and Saturn are all connected in this relationship of, if we're going to move forward, then we have to do it with wisdom, experience, and discipline and structure. This is why the video that I'm putting out on the metaverse, it's just a few minutes of me talking about it. And I talked about how, because it was dropped in the Uranus retrograde, that because it doesn't seem to have structure yet, and it doesn't seem to have enough of a vision, that I don't feel like they're ready yet. So that's a preview to that video. So that Uranus and Taurus energy is unsteady right now. So you're going to see that the financial systems are going to be a major play in November, because in November we just had the new moon in Scorpio, which opposed that Uranus and Taurus energy. And then we have the full moon in Taurus. So then the full moon, which is bringing closure, something is going to really show us what we're walking into when it comes to the financial status of everything. Because and then even still, because it's retrograde with Uranus, we won't get all of the information. That's how I would see that that's going to play out. So with everything here, I would say to consider that where Uranus and Taurus is for you, in order to use this crisis energy to your best benefit, is to look at where you have abstract love. There's something about how you love that we find in Taurus, also connected to Venus, right? But it's a different kind of love than the Venus you find in Libra. Libra, it has evolved into something. But here in Taurus, it's the love that you have to take care of something, to take care of a plant that you're nurturing and growing. It takes love in order to do that. And so you find here at the very beginning of the zodiac that we already need to turn to ownership and being connected to something else other than ourselves in order to experience love, because maybe in the mystery of love is who we really are. And that's the thing, is to choose and to be able to choose that. And so abstract love is the message, and your message, or how you represent that, or what your story is, even, or what your vision is for love of the future. These are all things that you can tap into, and they will bring you value, and they will help you to find a way to make some income, some currency, to get into the currency flow, even during this upheaval and crisis. So in anything that you're doing, even if it is a secretary, or if it is a doctor, if you're a tarot reader, whatever you do, to include your story about abstract love, to focus on these areas of your chart. And this will help you to ride the wave of the craziness that's about to occur, which is basically all of our comforts are going to be unsettling, uncertain, and not comfortable anymore. Or we may not be able to indulge in our comforts as much as we wanted to. And this is going to unleash us into discovering who it is that we really are in the face of having something being taken away. Okay? Because the axis of Taurus and Scorpio is also about what you have, Taurus, and what other people want from you, Scorpio, right? That's why Scorpio's lust. And also, like, what other people can take from you or what you share with other people. That's the idea of unity with Scorpio. But quite often, it's not that intimate, so then you don't have the unity. So then what it becomes is stealing or taking from people. So what you have versus what people want to take from you is also um, on the platform, and how you're approaching that and using that is going to be what I ask for you to go out and teach me how to do, teach others how to deal with the energies of something that I have versus what somebody wants from me. And when do you feel safe to want to give, to want to share? This is the concept of abstract love that I'm basically calling on for people to consider integrating into their lives. Okay, and then where this is in the houses will give you a concept of abstract love. So let's go through the houses. Okay, so seventh house. Wow. So let's start with the seventh house, where Taurus is in. If you have Taurus in the seventh house, then this is the concept of abstract love with another person. This is almost cut and dry. It's the idea of who it is that you are committed to and how it is that you display your type of love. What's your love language, and how do you nurture and grow that like a seed into a plant? Because it's the very act of the way that you do it in the seventh house that shows you who you are. Sometimes you may feel trapped, or have felt comfortable in allowing your partner to be a reflection of who you are. And while that's very true, the upheaval that's coming from Uranus retrograde is to also show how it is that it's about what you brought to them, right? It's about the resourcefulness that you are. This is the abstract love that you're here to define. In the eighth house, Taurus is in an intimate space and is comfortable here through the sexual desires of the partner. Similar to the seventh, but more towards the intentions and desires of the partner, being almost deeply connected to what their partner wants and being wanting to give that to them at a core level, almost creating the seed together. This is the house of sex and rebirth. And so with Taurus here, these comforts are experienced deeply through attachment to somebody else, specifically someone else's sexual nature and desires. And this, while this is a comfortable place because it allows you to explore but someone's safe, the Uranus energy that is coming through here creates the recognition that it's also about your body, your sexual nature, and what it is about you that attracts others. And just remembering that that is what it is that you value, and that identifies your abstract love. That's what makes you very different than others, is that story. So remember that this is about the cattle, and because the cattle are typically the types that kind of blend into each other, this is where Uranus and Taurus work very well. They work well with targeting the cattle because they're both connected to groups, herds. These energies, Aquarius and Taurus, are both connected to groups and herds. They're connected to that connection of using the herd, using the cattle. It's very deep. And their connection in the seasons in which they stand. And because of this, you have to consider the fact that you aren't able to see yourself as unique. You don't always see yourself as the shepherd or the owner of the cattle, wherever Taurus is in your chart. But this is how you can with Uranus coming here. Now, in the ninth house, Taurus is about connecting to the comforts of our belief systems. And you're probably very comfortable in being in a spiritual palace. And the Uranus energy is kind of breaking you free from certain beliefs that have kept you stuck, kept you stagnant, especially on a mental level, not feeling like you've grown up mentally. Maybe could be the energy here, or being challenged about those things and having to prove that through abstract love. So through a relationship, you may be dealing with mentality, right? And how it is that you connect to that person in a conversation and belief structure. Where is it that you're compatible with people and not? And how it is that you nurture that belief, spiritual connection with other people. This is getting you ready to be someone who is useful to the many, right? Instead of just being a part of the many. And it's uncomfortable here, but it creates a deeper wisdom if you're willing to share your abstract love. So, what is it that you believe in which you can connect yourself to many other people, even if you have differences of beliefs? If you have a different belief set or a different religion than someone else, how do you love that other person? This is a calling to define that, and you may tap into some serious currency if you do. In the 10th house, Taurus is connected to career, and here the career is comfortable. It may be something that just can't happen in the family. It may be something that you grew into. It's something that you maybe didn't necessarily plan or have a vision for. And now with Uranus coming here in the 10th house, it's kind of challenging you to have a vision, have a unique type of vision for what it is that you want to do in your career, because this is prepping you for the 11th house. But in the 10th house, it's also about looking at where it is that you are in the work that you do, and does it have any sort of feeling of authority? Do you feel like you are in charge in any way? And if you don't feel that way, then you might want to become. But if you do feel that way, maybe you're ready to change and be back into a space where you're not making all of the decisions. Something that would put you in an uncomfortable place of, being taken down from the throne might happen here as well, because it's at the top of the chart. That's the 10th house. So, now, in the 11th house, Taurus is connected to our comforts with the people that we associate with in our friendships and social status. How we stand amongst our friends. And you probably have a comfortable role in which you stand amongst your friends. But with Uranus here, there is a need to shake those things up. And so, whichever role it is that you have may be challenged at this time, making you see where it is that you want to identify who you are through this concept of abstract love, how it is that you can love people if they think that, if they think they're better than you, basically. How do you love someone who, acts like they are in a higher hierarchy than you? These could be things like that, because this brings out a need to have a vision, and this is why we start to harness this in the 10th house. Once it comes to the 11th house, if we don't have a strong concept of legacy and vision, then we get lost into the envious ways of social, settings. This can bring up social anxiety and all things like that. So this is a time when you're being called to define what abstract love is. How is it that you can choose to love people even if they uh, are condescending onto you? And that can help you to identify who you are and tap into a currency of value rather than falling to, the shadowy ways. In the 12th house, Taurus is connected to our loneliness, and there may be something here where you're dealing with that concept. And if loneliness has become comfortable, or being around so many people has been what has been comfortable, either way you're dealing with alone time. And I think that the depending on the situation, you are going to be dealing with it in a way in which it can even be gluttonous, in a way in which you can have too much of it, or just become in the house all the time, or certain things like that. So you're going to have to figure out how it is that you can tap into the world, even though you are alone, even though you may be in a space where you're not seeing a lot of people anymore. And the 12th house kind of restricts you to that degree sometimes. And it becomes a healing house when you tap into the value of Taurus here. Uranus is shaking you up with still having to deal with others and deal with the things that other people value, and letting go of things that may be too materialistic as well in here in the 12th house. There might be a need to have a connection with chasing after money or making money that has to be deeply like rewired in your brain, and it's on a subconscious level. So here, that's what that calling is for you. And so I think it's a idea of having love for your mental health. This could also be connected to the ninth house as well. The ninth and the 12th house can share these two concepts, and the third house. Now, in the first house, Taurus is connected to the body. So this is about a situation where you're comfortable in your body or you're not comfortable in your body. And Uranus is bringing out opinions, communication, and information that may be jarring to you and pushing you to certain levels of insecurity. And so the value here is the value here is difficult because you are almost the symbol of this concept of being the cattle. So you have to literally be comfortable with being the animal that people, experiment on. Uranus is the experiment for Taurus is. And also being more out in the open where people can see you. And so this is like, kind of sometimes feeling like a piece of meat. And so I think that you're going to have to discover an abstract love for that process and for, what it is. And really being able to identify that in a way that is what the title says, loving, in a loving way. And this can help tap you into a higher frequency in order to tap into currency. Now, in the second house, this is truly matched to your income. And so it's about the person that's making the money, and you might have been comfortable in a job or a situation where you were getting checks from someone, and now you're being challenged about how much you're worth for it or if they're willing to do it anymore. This could be about sharing or hoarding money as well. And so this is what Uranus might bring to the table here, is looking at how you identify with abstract love when it comes to how much money you make. And if you identify strongly with the amount of money that you make, that this could be a time that's difficult for you. So having a relationship with money, it doesn't matter if you're making a little bit or a lot, because if you're making a lot, that can be difficult for you too. So having this relationship with yourself and with other things, period, just other things, anything outside of you, is where you're going to have to define your abstract love. Tapping you to a currency where you're, you know, basically not running rampant trying to save everything or running greedy trying to take everything. In the third house, Taurus is connected to the comforts of how we speak to people and how we understand things. And so uh, this would be jarring with Uranus here, because it might bring like a question of how smart you are, or like how intelligent you are, or if the things that you say are making you feel or making others feel, hurt in any way. And so this is a time where you're going to have to develop a love of language, an abstract love of translation, being a translator and defining your own love language in that sense, which will help to tap you into a better currency. Now, and in the fourth house, Taurus is going to be comfortable in their home. This also is similar to the 12th, and might find themselves being homebody here. This is a definite space where that could happen. But either way, it might just be leaving the home or not, right? Whether that is just going outside for some people, or that's moving to another place. So this could be Uranus bringing some sort of situation that might bring that to the table at this moment. Something to do with the house or the home or the land that you own. With this is a time where you're having to tap into some sort of abstract love, connecting yourself to um, what home really is, and who you are will be based off of what you define that to be. So this is what I'm saying is if home has to be a place, then that can define who you are right now. And if home doesn't have to be a place, that could also define who you are right now. So that's something to consider. For the fifth house, this is connected to children and creativity and your romantic nature. And this is about your comforts in these areas. So maybe being comfortable in how you enjoy your childhood things, like how connected you are to your childhood desires, like um, the the games or the things that you used to do as a kid. How do they still show up in life today? How they influence how you flirt and socialize with other people, and how other people like to indulge in you based off of the things that these hobbies may have created you to be. So, for instance, if you were a dancer, then people might want to indulge in your creative dance art. So there's something about that that you bring to the table that is very valuable. And yet there's something about it that's also too comfortable. It might be needing to expand yourself beyond childhood desires or childhood hobbies, which might be uncomfortable for many. And so this is a chance to have an abstract love with those things, maybe seeing where they stood for you, but also what is next is really the thing to focus on. What is it that you're adding to it might be the thing that you want to consider. And in the sixth house, this is the final house because we started with the seventh. In the sixth house, Taurus here is about the comfortable, office environment that you work in. And if this office environment is comfortable for you, Uranus might be shaking things up, you know, or just might be shaking up the way that you operate on a day-to-day level, like just your daily routines. And if you are um, stuck in some sort of rut in something, then Uranus might show you a circumstance to get out of it. And this is really simple, and yet it can be very deep. But it's earth shaking here on many fronts, and I think that it's telling of where it is that you enable things and where it is that you are stagnant with things, and how they are like keeping you from your truer values. Like it means something that you can't get out of a rut. Those are the things that I would consider. So abstract love could be in how it is that you approach um, the process in getting out of something, getting out of the mud, getting out of the quicksand, um, having a love for the mud and the quicksand because you'd have to understand it in order to get out of it. I hope that makes sense. So that is the Uranus through the houses. Thank you so much. If you guys want to check out the branding workshop, it's going to be good. This is probably my best topic because it's the one that I'm using in action. If you haven't noticed me working on my TikTok stuff. So I definitely have a lot of material to share, and you can watch my branding videos on here. They're really detailed if you can't make the workshop or if you can't afford it. But if you are in it, then I will be using your charts as examples. So it becomes a lot more personal with me reading the charts. Okay, thank you so much. I love you all and thank you for the support. Hope you have a great weekend. Bye.